Good evening. I'm Dr. Reggie Ratliff, your host for tonight's show, Let's Talk Maywood on Diversity Today Media. I start off this podcast, on a somber note, offering condolences of a fallen pirate, Philip Broom. Got word this afternoon that from his brother, Joseph Broom, that Philip has passed away. He's moved on to glory. I attended school with Philip, his twin sister Penny, as well as Joseph, and at Garfield Elementary School, as well as Providence East High School. Philip was well known and well beloved in the Maywood community. He was also, as I reflect, believe he was also in the coaching staff, either currently or in the past with the College of DuPage. We also played ball with some of the Maywood athletes like Randall McFarland and others. But surely Philip was a down-home brother. I saw him as a brother. You know, we were a close family, the Garfield family, of course, Proviso East Pirates. We honor him. We remember him. So prayers go out to his twin sister, like I said, Penny, Joseph, the rest of the family, the rest of the Broom, and as well as the Weaver family and those who knew him, who were very close to Philip. May he rest in eternal peace. If you follow Joseph, and as well as Randy McFarland's post on Facebook, they have funeral arrangements for Philip. I believe it's December 3rd. But nonetheless, check it out. Again, last time we had our podcast, it was Brian Hines who passed away. Now we lost brother Philip. So please make sure that we are all doing what we need to do to take care of ourselves and our family until God calls us home to glory. We don't know when our time comes. But in the meantime, prayers goes out to those families, the Broom family, Weaver family, and those who loved him as family and friends. And also prayers goes out to those three victims of the shooting at University of Virginia. One is still yet fighting for their life, and these were former football players or current football players, the three who died. There was a former football player who was a shooter. So we don't know all the details, so I will not put anything out there other than this was a tragic event that took place at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, Virginia. Prayers goes out to those families as well. And on that note, I would like to bring on my co-host and the producer of this podcast, Terrence Hollingsworth. Terry, are you there?
Hey, how are you doing, Dr. Ratliff?
I'm hanging, man. Anytime you lose someone that you knew, and it's losing somebody that you have known for, several decades, it's almost like losing a sibling. And so it's kind of tough when I saw that news, but nonetheless, still keeping on, and I'm feeling good. I'm doing all right, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. We were off last week, right?
Yes, sir.
I was traveling, but we're back, and
Absolutely.
most of the things are still the same. Target reported their number today, and they missed.
Yeah.
Stock is lower,
Mm.
and we're stuck in this cycle. And I sound like a broken record, but at the end of the day, the Federal Reserve is looking for 2% inflation. We were at 7.7 when the last number came out, and we are far away from the target goal. So,
Yeah. Well, a lot has happened over the past 2 weeks. In addition to that news, we think about, Meta, who owns Facebook, right?
yeah,
Laying off, a lot of workers. And then with Elon Musk and Twitter, initially laying off like half the workforce, including their executives. Then he asked them to come back, and many of them like, man, get out of here. You fired us. We moving on. But there's a lot of struggles with that. And then Google was hit with a huge 300 plus $1 million fine for data breach and some things they were doing. So a lot's been going on in the world of finance that people need to know about, right?
yeah. I'm interested to hear from our educators tonight because we spent our generation really spent a lot of time saying, college is the way that we're going to shrink the wealth gap. We're going to find and create wealth for ourselves. And now we're in this place where all of a sudden the companies that, where these companies are laying off, it's not the blue collar jobs. It is the management jobs that we all went to college for to get degrees, and said that we'll make money, and we're facing what our parents faced in the 80s and 90s
Yeah.
with the layoffs and things like that. So I would love to hear the perspective that our guests are going to have, and of course we're going to be talking about finance on Thursdays.
Mhm.
So join us, because I really want to hear from the educators.
So to register for our virtual Master of Financial Investment class, if you're interested, send me an email at sratliff68@yahoo.com. In turn, I will send you a link with the Zoom link, rather, to access the classes every Thursday that we have it from 5:30 to 6:30 Central Standard Time. And we hope that you'll be able to join us. And it is free, by the way, to hear perspective from the investment expert, Terrence Hollisworth, and the PhD educators such as myself when it comes to finance and economics. So I'm excited as well, Terry, about our two educators, both highly qualified, both fight for their community, like literally will fight for their community and our children. And I'm looking forward to speaking with them both.
All right, I'll see you guys on Thursday.
All right. So the first guest I would like to introduce, she is Miss Carissa Gillespie. She's a proud member and passionate mother, educator, resident, and product of District 209 Proviso Township, specifically Proviso East High School. She is a pirate. Ms. Gillespie is currently in her 23rd year of education. She is community driven and is dedicated to educating not only students, but the entire community on the importance of being an active stakeholder, internal and external, might I add, in schools and the educational process. In addition to being a teacher, Ms. Gillespie is a member of Local 571, member of Grace Central Church in Westchester, Illinois, and holds degrees from Columbia College, Chicago, Roosevelt University, also Chicago, and Concordia University in River Forest, Illinois. And without further ado, I'd like to bring on Miss Carissa Gillespie.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How you doing, my sister?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us this evening. And I'm glad you're on. Looking forward to in-depth, honest, and transparent conversation.
Uh-oh.
Let's do it. And so what I like to do right now is also bring on the other guest, Miss Connie Riles. Miss Riles is a retired educator. She grew up in Maywood. She is a faithful servant of Rock of Ages Baptist Church in Maywood, Illinois, 13th and Madison. Pastor Marvin Wiley is the shepherd. She has been a Bellwood resident since 1975 at the same location. She's founder of Bellwood School District 88, Roosevelt Middle School Community Service. And in her role as founder of that organization, she has been involved with cleaning and sanitizing senior buildings, grocery shopping and delivery for those, arranging to visit veterans over the holiday season, which is coming up, mind you, and holiday caroling. She has done so much. I just want to read just a couple more. She's arranged for other scholars in Proviso Township to earn community service hours for Proviso East, Proviso West, Proviso Math and Science Academy scholars, and to come to help her to help get their hours, which is important, by the way. She volunteers at Hines Hospital. She was elected Bellwood Library Board Trustee, Vice President, and also Bellwood School District 88 Board Member and Advisory Board Member of Maywood Senior Group. And without further ado, I'd like to bring on Matter Connie Riles. Yay!
Wow, thank you. Thank you. Yes, what an honor. When you were reading, I go, who is that person?
Like, you did that? Look, sometimes you never know how much you've done until someone read your bio. You know, isn't that powerful? Exactly. So, but the honor is ours to have you on this evening. Both you ladies, both educators, and both very impactful in Proviso Township and Proviso West, as well as Proviso East and PMSA. So let's talk Maywood. You both are from Maywood. And Miss Mother Riles, I'd like to start off with you. Talk about your experiences growing up in Maywood, and what was your motivation for getting into education just from day one?
Well, believe it or not, you started that. You might not remember. I was your Head Start teacher back in the day, under the direction of your mom. I worked at Maywood Head Start for many, many years before I became a director. And that's what started me with the children, educating the children. And I just love that. But growing up in Maywood back in those days, as I was saying backstage, they used to call my mom Madia. She was the Madia of Maywood. Everyone in Maywood knew her. I used to call our house on 13th Avenue the United Kingdom because we had every race there were that stayed with us. So, and back in those days, all of us cared about each other. Maywood was and still is the spot that's it for us. We just that camaraderie. We just love each other. We just educated each other, and it was just great, Dr. Ratliff.
Indeed. I vaguely remember you being my Head Start teacher. But my mom would tell me great stories. My mom, Betty Ratliff, love you, mom, out there. But she would tell me stories about how you trained us and you made sure that we were able to do basic things like count. It wasn't just about, learning the ABCs or drawing within the line, not going over the line, but actually authentic, strong content that would lay the foundation for our future. And so I thank educators such as yourself, Mother Connie, for being in the education field myself. So
thank you.
The honor is mine. But, just something else. You talked about 13th Avenue. During that time, as you became a Bell resident in 1975, and you've been there since then, talk about the change in dynamics, the racial dynamics, because right around that time, it was kind of right after white flight, if you will, where more African Americans started migrating to the west suburbs, specifically Maywood, Bellwood, things like that. How did that impact you in terms of when you moved to Bellwood and how that transformed you?
From Maywood to Bellwood?
Yes, ma'am.
It was a culture shock, needless to say. In fact, when I moved on where I am now, I was the first African American on my block.
Wow.
And now I think we're all African American except two Hispanic. That's it. But yes, it was a culture shock to me from Maywood to Bellwood. I felt that Maywood we were more closer to each other, and we value our friendship. We value our neighbors, and we just value each other. Whereas we didn't lock our doors back then. And that's kind of strange for me because I used to go out there and rally with Fred Hampton, when he was marching on the west side. I'm out there with him, So I was a radical back then, but Maywood just brought a lot out of us. And even now, I go back to Maywood because Maywood's still going to be my home. And I still know a lot of people in Maywood. And my church is in Maywood. I just go there. Right. But Bellwood is my home too. But
yeah. Understand, this is Let's Talk Maywood. We're reflecting on our time growing up in Maywood. So that's in order. Even though, you're a resident of Bellwood, it's all good. I mean, we still crossed over sometimes over past 25th and worked out, did things with them in Memorial Park or teased them at Proviso West, whatever the case may be. We all one family. But, you started seeing the transition. You mentioned it was a culture shock moving to Bellwood. But the one thing that really stood out for me is when you said we were like a family, Maywood. Yes. And there was no greater example than the alumni picnic that took place this summer, right? From 1951 to 2022, the class of 2022. I mean, that's how many decades is that? 6, almost 7 decades where, you had people from the past and the present. Just seeing that is just powerful, isn't it?
It's awesome. It's awesome. In the Maywood Senior Club, I was on the advisory there before they disbanded the senior club. One of our members, she passed 2 years ago. She was 96 years old.
Wow.
And she lived in Maywood all that time. And, she had a lot of history. She knew a lot of things that went on in Maywood. And Maywood is a historical place. You learn a lot in Maywood. There are a lot of spots there that you didn't know. And that tour that Jerry Stinson took us on in Maywood. I go, man, I didn't know that. That was awesome. We need more like that. Absolutely. We need more like that.
Yes. Maywood being a village of eternal light is what it is because the light was always bright. So much history in Maywood, and so many wonderful things that people, you know, aren't aware of. Like you said, from a historical perspective, many people came out of Maywood who are doing great things, whether it's noticeable or not. And, you know, in addition to yourself, Mother Connie, you know, Sister Carissa, you've done some great things in your life, you know, being a Maywoodian and all.
Yeah.
You know, part of the Pirate family. You know, let's talk about your experiences growing up in Maywood. You were, you know, you and I at the same time, you know,
Yeah.
Mother Connie and those blazed a trail for us to have successes in our schools. Talk about your experiences growing up in Maywood.
So I came, you know, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. And I had my great grandparents, Eleanor and Alfred Mullins, were part of the great, you know, the Southern migration north. My great grandfather worked at the American Can Company.
Okay.
And, you know, they bought a house in Maywood. And, you know, I would go and visit them in the summertime. And I just thought Maywood was just amazing. So when, you know, my uncle, was murdered in the Robert Taylor homes in 1979, and my family was done with the South Side after that. They came to Maywood, and when I tell you, when as a kid coming to Maywood, oh my goodness, you know, we coming from glass in the parks and elevators not working to wait a minute, it's a park almost every 4 blocks.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, people waving at you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that was like
you
amazing.
Don't know.
That was
you
amazing.
Don't know them, but they waving, right?
They waving. You know, we can ride our bikes. I mean, it was the goal. The goal was to how far can we get in Maywood, whether it be walking or riding a bike, and you know, that sense of family, because you know, everybody became your play cousin,
right?
And so just. You know, just being in Maywood, you know, it was absolutely amazing. And growing up, I realized how being a part of Maywood means you're part of history. Maywood is just historical, and you always find, you know, like Miss Connie was saying earlier, you get these tours and you're like, wow, I didn't know that, or I didn't know this, and it makes you feel special that you were a part of it. And you know, Proviso East is just one of those connections. You know, when you think Maywood, you think Proviso East. And so when I decided to be an educator, Proviso East was instrumental in that. I went to Proviso East. Now, talking about culture differences, we lived on the north side of Maywood.
Oh, you were in the bougie area. Okay.
So we lived on the north side of Maywood, and you know, the train tracks were the dividers. So I went to Lincoln School.
Okay.
And so I didn't see a lot of this, you know, we lived over there. It was the first time I had white friends.
Wow.
I mean, like I never forget, my first friend was Jessie Finsky, and I went to her house for dinner. And, you know, she said, want to stay for dinner? And I was like, yeah. And so we had macaroni and cheese. And I looked at it and I said, well, where the chicken at?
Right.
Hold on, where the sweet potatoes at? And she's like, no, it's just macaroni. But, you know, we shared a lot. We grew up a lot. And, you know, when I think about the shift now as an educator in Proviso Township, when I first started teaching in Proviso Township, my classes were predominantly African American. Now my classes are predominantly Latino. So as a community member, as an educator, I've had to, you know, shift. And, you know, I'm teaching and I have to learn as well. You know, you got it opens you up. And I think that's also part of coming from Maywood, is that, you know, we learn so much about different people growing up in Maywood. And so when shifts happen in culture and race, if you are a true Maywoodian, you're able to handle that.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that, because, you know, we did grow up with those. It was mostly African-American during our time. And I think about, you know, people in Pieto and Jeffrey Knobs, those who grew up around my late classmate, Philip Broom. And, you know, we had Chris Benjamin, who's DJ Chris right now. You know, we came from different places, you know, and we were able to adapt. So even myself, who live in the DMV right now, DC, Maryland, Virginia, you know, it's like a melting pot. But I'm like, cool, been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's nothing for me. And working in an environment that I work in, where it's international students, like, hey, I mean, we had international students when, you know, when I was going to Garfield and Proviso. So,
Right.
I mean, 4,000 students. So, of course, you're going to have different persuasions. So, we were ready. That foundation was laid,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you had transitioned. You had to evolve from one demographic to another, mostly demographic. And was it a challenge? Did your education shift as far as, quality and interest from that to another?
I don't think the how you teach, particularly shifts, because, and Ms. Connie can attest to this. When you get down to the core of it, students are students, and so, but you have to be a lot more in some cases culturally aware and respectful, because sometimes students don't realize that, like, things you say may be okay when it's just one demographic in the room, but now you have to realize and be understanding of students as an educator, and I'm sure again, Miss Connie, been in the game a long time with education. We have to deal with making sure we're respectful of people's pronouns now.
Right.
We have to be respectful of, understanding that, we have students that are, LGBTQ. We have diverse learners. We have students that are, it's a melting pot. So I'm always, one of the things I love about Proviso 209 educators is that we don't know how to not adapt. We don't know how to not adapt. If you're in this area teaching and living, you know how to adapt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad you said that, because I want to pose the same question to Mother Connie. When you were transitioning and you see the change in, demographics and being an educator like yourself, a seasoned one, was it a challenge to adapt? And it also leads me to asking if that was a motivator for you becoming the founder of the School District 88 Roosevelt Middle School Community Service Program.
Yes, it was a challenge, because first, back then, we were always told we should be seen and not heard. We could not say what's on our mind. It's like we didn't have a mind of our own.
Right.
They told us what was on our mind.
Wow.
So the difference between then and now is that we want the scholars, to utilize their mind, exercise their mind. I learn from a lot of the scholars now. And I tell them now, I don't care what the age difference is. I learn from you daily, like you learn from me. Absolutely. And I respect that. I respect their opinion. I respect their value. I respect their drive, their hunger, because they want to learn. And that question, why? Back then, we used to get slapped in our mouth.
Right.
But why? Now, I live on that. When they say why, I want them to ask why, and I want us to be honest with them and tell them why. Absolutely. There's no more blinders, no more sweeping under the rug. You don't say that out this house, none of that.
Right.
Oh, Mother Connie hitting the nerve today. Hitting the nerve today.
So Carissa may attest to this. If you ask somebody, why? Because I said so. Like,
not today.
That won't tell me anything today. Oh yeah, today.
We want the why. We want the why from the students.
Well, that's what that's what we teach them, right? We want them to ask why. When they write the paper, we want to be able to address why. And why? Question, it's an open-ended question. Why? Exactly. Why do we do this? Why do we take that approach?
And one of the things that Mother Connie just said, she talked about our scholars. And one of the, sometimes the word scholars attributed to students can be a pet peeve of mine. But when it's used the right way, like Mother Connie does, we want them. When you call students scholars, you should treat them scholarly.
Absolutely.
And understand that they're going to question things. They're going to speak up for themselves. We are, dealing with a situation now in, Proviso Township where, and I'm personally dealing with it, where, students spoke their minds. And though, our leaders, our administrators call them scholars, they're treating them in ways that you wouldn't treat a scholar, because you wouldn't question a scholar about their agenda and their motives. You would ask them why. Why do you feel this way? And allow them to elaborate if you really thought they were scholars.
Right.
So you have to make sure that, that you are treating, because these are going to be our future leaders.
Right.
These are the ones that when we sitting back on canes and wheelchairs and we want to be taken care of, these are the ones that we trust in to take care of us. So you want those minds expanded. You want them to have those research skills. You want them to have their own thoughts and opinions.
Right.
And we can't stifle that, as adults, because they don't think the way that we think.
Right. And I'm glad you said that, Sister Carissa, because when you think about open mind and asking the whys, the students are watching you, and of course you're professional. Of course you're teaching them to think in a scholarly way, right? Scholarly way, and be able to carry those skills to the next level, right? But when they witness you being reprimanded because you asked why and you spoke out, they see that as saying, be quiet. Keep your mouth shut, or you're punishing you because whatever reason. Talk about it.
You know what? I love my students. I love my students. And they see what's going on. They see what's going on, even if the adults are not being transparent. And so when they reach out to me, or when, because I live in the community, so I can't avoid seeing my students. I'm telling them that it's not you guys. You guys are not the reason that we don't have teachers in classrooms. It's the mass resignations that we've experienced due to, disrespectfulness of who we are as professionals. We've had, I'm not going to, make any kind of, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Right now at Proviso Township, education and educators, we're under attack because I think traditionally, just as we used to say, children should not be, should be seen and not heard. We've always felt that way in education. Teachers should be seen and not heard. And that has to change, because if we are nurturing a generation of free thinkers and free speakers, then the people that are nurturing them have to be that as well. We have to lead by example.
No question. And you said a lot. Unfortunately, with you're being reprimanded for speaking on behalf of your students, speaking for your rights, and speaking on behalf of the community. These mass resignations are taking place amongst the teachers, the students, when they're witnessing and they're saying, "Wait a second, we have those who are leaders who we look up to, who are mentors, our role models. They're being punished because they're speaking out. What does that mean for me?" How does that impact the students from what you've seen?
And you mentioned earlier, Ms. Connie was your Head Start teacher. People don't seem to understand that we spend, as teachers, we spend a lot of time, sometimes more than the parents, with students. They become, like our children. So when you're away from them, even though I may wake up and be like, "Ooh, I don't want to go to work today."
Right.
Now I'm on a 20-day suspension, and all I think about when I wake up in the morning is, who's going to be with my kids today?
Right.
I'm telling people, hey, check on my kids for me. Let my students know I'm okay. I'm not built to break. Your teachers are not built to break. Mm-mm. The community is not built to break.
Right.
So I think it's as a parent and as a teacher, you continue to nurture and let them know that this trouble don't last always. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have to, involve yourself in good trouble, mm-hmm. and teaching them the difference between, good trouble and trouble that'll lead to no good. You have to lead by example. And one of the things I am definitely not going to do, because I know my students are watching me. I know haters are watching me. I know people, that are curious are watching. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to break. I'm not going to break. It's never been about money in teaching. Miss Connie knows this. We don't make a lot of money. We probably spend more money on our students than we bring it in. It's not about money, but it's about pride. And as a Proviso East graduate and a product of this district, mm-hmm. I am going to lead by example. one of the reasons, I'm sorry, I get long-winded sometimes because I'm passionate. I'm passionate about 209.
Don't apologize. Don't apologize.
I'm passionate
Right.
about 209.
Unapologetic.
Somebody asked me, why don't you just, when this suspension stuff went down and all this investigatory stuff went down, why don't you just quit? You got degrees, you can go anywhere. And you know what? I thought about it for a moment, and then I said, you know what? I came to, and I share these stories with my students. When I came to Proviso East as a freshman, I was pregnant. And the tradition in my class, in my family, had been to drop out of school and get on welfare, and that be that. And my grandmother, Sally Gillespie, said, no, you're not. You're going to get up and you're going to school. And so I went to school, freshman, 8 months pregnant. They didn't give me no elevator key. The first classroom I got to, the teacher asked me or said to me, I don't have a desk big enough to fit you. The second class I got to, the teacher said, well, what am I going to do with you? I wanted to go home because 2 teachers had knocked me down before I even got in the door good. But the rest of the day, I had teachers like Mr. Salati. I had teachers, like Miss Phyllis War. I had counselors like Miss Mary Wells who said, you're not going nowhere. You deserve to be here because that baby gonna need you to be somebody. And for all the teachers that knocked me down through my years at Proviso East, I had counselors, teachers, and principals that built me up and let me know that when you leave these doors, you can be anything you want to be. Anything you want to be. And so when I say why I stay is because somebody saved my life at Proviso East.
Yes.
And I want to be that for some students in my community right now.
Amen. Yes. I mean, that's just an example of turning a test into a testimony, which you've gone through. And definitely the teachers at Proviso East and Proviso Township, they're fighting for the students and they're fighting for the community. The community speaks out. Yet it appears they're ignored. And so when you speak up, my question is, will you continue to speak out even after your suspension ends?
Silence is not an option. No action is not an option. One of the things I did, and I have a luxury, it could be a gift and a curse. I'm an employee of the district, but I'm also a taxpayer. And so I was active on the teachers union. And, when I saw that the changes and the voice I wanted to have, I could not have as a employee. Let me put on my other super cape, and that's a taxpayer. I get those superpowers every time.
That is powerful.
And so I met some really wonderful people in the community. Eileen Oliver, Kathleen Francois, Fred Francois, Jenny Barberhand. We're like a melting pot. Nice. Maria Maxim. And we put together Proviso 209 United, and we said, you know what? It's some people may say it's a shot in the dark, but let's go ahead and let's load up. Yes. Let's try to change where we need to start, and it starts with the school board. We need to, one of the things I'm adamant about is we need to, as a community and as stakeholders, we have to hold our school boards and our elected officials accountable for their promises and their actions. We have to. Or we got to stop electing politicians and putting more people who will do for the people in those seats.
How do we change that, though? You mentioned change the stakeholders. How do we change that? Because I love what you're saying, all right? But our challenge in our communities, Mother Connie, you know this as well, voter turnout in the Black community is typically low. There's a lot of talk, a lot of rhetoric, and we say we need change. But yet when it comes to election day, the voter turnout is low. Just, keeping it real. How do we change the mindset to motivate voters to get out there and vote so the board can be changed to those who, as you put it so eloquently, are the stakeholders who care about the community and the kids?
One of the things that we have made a focus of Proviso 209 United is making sure that people are educated about what is the role of the school board and how does, because what we're also finding and what we deal with is you have people that you know, we talk about cultural changes and you know, things like white flight or, middle class flight.
Mm-hmm.
Proviso Township high schools needs to be a viable option. It doesn't have to be the option, but it needs to be a viable option in our communities. And right now it's not that. And so you have to get every entity to understand why it's important to be a part of your schools, whether it be the retiree who says, well, I don't have any kids in the school. Well, you got property taxes, whether it be the realtor who works in the township. You being involved and being an active stakeholder in the schools helps your bottom line, because see, you selling houses, and one of the things that pop up on that housing list is the school.
Yeah.
So it's educating people on this is how it affects you. Because sometimes we only look at it as it only affects you if you have kids. No, it affects everyone. It affects the mayors. It affects every entity if your school district is not good.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to admit, I've never seen anything like this ever. You know, I know Chicago public schools had these challenges and things like that, but then you talk about the depth of the challenge for such a small community. My God, I've never witnessed anything like this.
And I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna be quiet, because this is something, especially after last night's board meeting, we had we had some some white students that were speaking out for their mostly Black teachers. And we had some people call some of these students, racist. And they're still children. They're still children.
Yeah.
And they're still our children. But, I just want to say this. What hurts my heart the most, and see, I got a luxury that maybe somebody else doesn't have, but I'm going to say it, and it may not be popular. What hurts me the most is that people that look like us are making decisions that are hurting us.
Exactly.
People that look like these kids are making decisions that are hurting kids that share their same skin tone. Our board, our educational leaders in the district are predominantly Black and white. Right. They are making the decisions, not the predominantly white teachers.
Yeah.
They are making the decisions. It's an unpopular thing that some people don't want to hear, but it's the truth.
Right. Well, some of those board members are from Maywood, grew up in Maywood, raised their children in Maywood. I won't mention one particular person's name, but she was like a second mom to me growing up. I played, baseball with her son, and we cool. I mean, on a personal level,
I respect it. I voted for all of them.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But that doesn't mean the job's getting done, right?
Exactly.
So holding accountable. And so I just wanted to piggyback on what you're saying, ask Mother Connie, what is your viewpoint? Have you ever seen anything like this in all of your years in education, including now?
No, I have not. In fact, it hurts my heart. I always keep in touch with the scholars that graduate from Roosevelt Middle School to go to high school. And I told them, once you leave, you don't leave. I'm gonna always be there for you. So this time I called them, how you doing? They hate it. They said, can we come back? We don't like here. Can we come back? The teachers cares for us a lot here, but then the administrators don't. We don't like it here. And that hurt my heart when these students told me they want to come back to 8th grade.
Wow.
And I go, and it's sad because, Carissa, I am an elected official.
Right.
I'm on the school board. I'm on the library board.
Right.
But people don't know I am on the board because my action speaks louder than my words.
Amen.
I'm out there.
Yes.
I'm out there in the community. I'm going to fight for these students. I'm going to fight for the parents and the community and the seniors. I just happen to be a board member. To me, I'm a community person that happened to be a board member. And once a lot of us elect official, once we get that position, our head gets so big. It gets so big.
Say it again.
It's like, hey, what I say goes, and I do not like that. I don't like bullying.
Right.
And a lot of us elected officials are ugly, and we are. And I know we got to educate more people, run for office that are true to the word,
Yes.
And my thing is, I would like more younger people to run for office, you know.
Yes.
That's because we're getting old. We need to retire and pass the torch.
True that.
You know?
True that. Yeah.
But we need to
season. You're not old. You see.
I feel young.
We're
you know.
right season. And that's why I call myself a recycled teenager. So,
Love it.
We need to get them out there. And if I walk the walk and talk the talk, I got to do all of it. You know, I can't walk that walk if I don't talk. And these scholars, I need help. They need our evidence. They need someone to fight for us, whether you black, brown, and all of that. And then to hear last night, it hurt my heart when these scholars are being called a racist, you know. And before it was a double standard. You know. I'm just sorry. I'm just saying what I'm saying.
Please look. This is
you speaking truth, mother.
Yeah, this is truth. This is please don't apologize.
That's wisdom. That's wisdom.
We need to hear more of that, Mother Connie. We need to hear more wisdom, words of wisdom. So people in the back can hear you and they can pay attention and start doing, stop talking. You know. Question for you, all right, Sister Carissa. Let's talk about the superintendent. All right. I know that I want to go across the line about legal matter, whatever. Do you believe the superintendent needs to be replaced?
I do.
Why?
Look at our school report card.
I have.
Look at the track record of
that's a report card right there as you speak. Just
that is that's the elementary schools. But and again, this is about researching for yourself. And this is solely my opinion. I just feel like the level of divisive rhetoric in a community that is culturally changing, the divisive rhetoric, as much as you people in some positions may not want to. You are the leader. There's a reason why they pay you those 6 figures and give you those big contracts. Lead by example, because one of the things that I am solely disappointed in is that if you have policies, they should apply to everyone. So if you are asking your employees to be morally and ethically accountable for their words and their actions, then you most certainly should not be a superintendent calling your Westchester taxpayers and your Forest Park taxpayers, the peanut gallery. You should not, be on the school website saying to a Black woman from the community that you are a nobody. You should not be calling a parent of a Proviso East student because you do not agree with her raggedy. You should not do those things. Lead by example. And as the board, and I'm saying this very slowly, hold your one employee accountable as you would the other 1,000 employees that fall under that person. Right. You cannot expect, and I'll tell you when I firmly dug my heels in and said he should be replaced. During the strike, there was a situation where he raised his hand to a female board member. We made the news. And what I said to myself, I don't care what the apology is. I teach Black and brown boys not to put your hands up or on a woman. I teach my grandson that. My educational leader just told every Black and brown boy in that school district that it's okay to put your hands on a woman. It's not okay. And I don't care what the excuse is. You don't do that. And when you want the employees to respect their employer, and then I watch you raise your hand to your employer, well, then what are we doing here? What are we doing here? So it's just in a very simple way. And I'm going to always preface it with, it's my opinion, because one of the things I tell my students and I tell the community, that's my relationship, in my opinion. Research it for yourself. But if you ask me the question again, the answer will be that simple again. Replace it.
Well said. The stats speak for itself. And, you want a better community, and we want our children to succeed. We want them to be able to get out there and compete, whether it's they take on a career after high school or go to college, wherever that may be. And so I definitely think that's very timely comments by you. And Mother Connie, I just want to ask you, even though, you are a seasoned educator, you are a board member, you are this board, Village of Bellwood library board member, correct? So,
Yes.
so have you seen a difference even among students at in Proviso West? I mean, or Proviso Township or Proviso East specifically, or PMSA in your travels as an official? Because I know you're out there in the community.
Yes, I see the difference in them. In fact, like I said, some of them come back to me wanting community service hours. So I work a lot with them, and the voice is that what they're saying is it's not pleasant. They don't have a good thing to say. I'm sorry about the administrators. And what really got me, Dr. Ratliff, is a lot of people in the community know me and my sidekick. When my sidekick got stabbed last year at West, he has yet, or his guardian, receive a call from they never called to check on him to see how he's doing, all of that. Yeah. And because of that trauma, it led to a lot of mental problems.
Sure.
He's now living out of state. He had to get away from. He said, I had to get away from West. He said they don't care, and it's just like it's all about numbers or about building themselves up. And the scholars that I see that goes there, and like I said, they want to come back. They don't like it. They do not like going there. They're afraid. They're afraid to open up. They're afraid to open their mouths. And that's one thing we teach them before they get there. Your opinion counts.
Yes.
I value your opinion.
Yes.
You count. Because for one thing, if it wasn't for you, they would not be there.
Right.
They will not be there. So yes. I like instilling in them the power they have in themselves. They might not get it from here or there, but I'm going to instill it in you. You got that power. You got the power to be better than what you are. No matter what they say about you, you got that power.
Amen.
You look down on them and go, look at me now.
Yes.
Don't let them steal that away from you. Don't let them steal that away from you. And that's like the devil stealing your joy. Don't
absolutely. That's all.
Don't give them that validation.
Yeah. I'm a witness that those words are powerful, they're meaningful, and they are true, regardless of what they say to you, the detractors or haters, when you are a child. When you plant a seed like Mother Connie has for the thousands of us who have gone through higher academia, secondary education in Proviso Township, you can and will be successful. I'm telling you that right now, as a 53-year-old man who'll be 54 in 2 weeks from yesterday.
All right.
You can do it. You can do it. Yes. Believe what she says. I'm a witness. So thank you, Mother Connie. Love you dearly. Definitely. All right, let me stop before I start shouting. But I want to thank both you ladies. I want to give both of you a moment to make to provide final thoughts, words of encouragement, words of wisdom, whatever the Holy Spirit, whatever direction it moves you. Mother Connie, I want to start with you. I'll give you a couple minutes each as we close out this podcast. Mother Connie, by all means, stage is yours.
My last word is that for all of you out there, never, never give them the satisfaction. You know what's right in your heart. You know what's right and out there. Do not let them take that away from you. We worked too hard. We fought too hard. Too many people died for this. Don't let them take control of you. You go out there, you're doing what you're doing. You're doing what is right. And you're doing it because you're helping the future generation of our country. And we need that. They need us to be behind them. They need us to support them. And all of you out there, keep doing that. Don't let no one deter you. We came too far to go back now. We came too far. So my final word is keep on pushing. Keep on pushing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mother Connie. Love you. Thank you so much.
Love you.
And absolutely. So Sister Carissa, I absolutely want to give you the final moment, final word. Did she sign off? Okay. It appeared that she signed off. Oh, there you are. Okay. Like, what producer? What happened?
You ain't got rid of me yet.
I want to give you, the final word, and please, by all means, it's yours.
Well, I'm gonna give quick shout outs. I want to say, I love my students, District 209, Proviso East Pirates, class of 91, my Gillespie family, and to the wonderful, wonderful, hardworking teachers of and staff of District 209, IFT, PTU, and to my slate, Proviso 209 United, and for everybody. We are not built to break. We are not built to break. This trouble not going to last always. It's going to get better. We're going to learn from this. We're not built to break.
Amen. Bend but not break. Trouble don't last always. As my old pastor used to say, we are going in a storm. We may be in the midst of a storm, but know that God has the power to bring us out of the storm. This is only temporary 209. And under the right guidance, right leadership, and by the aid of the Holy Spirit, you will continue to move forward. I'd like to thank Mother Connie Rouse and Sister Carissa Gillespie for taking time from the busy schedule to speak with us tonight. I am Dr. Reggie Ratliff. Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Maywood on Diversity Today Media. Like us on Facebook and on YouTube. And until next time, be safe, God bless you, and good night.